a lot of us became familiar with the Yakub doctrine through the Nation of Islam. Elijah said he learned from Master Fard Muhammad that there was a big head scientist playing with magnets as a youth and found that opposites attract. Remember the part about opposites attract because it's going to come back up toward the end of the description. Yakub decided that he would make an inferior people to rule over his kindred for 6,000 years. And Elijah said that the time we in now is the time of the end of the reign and the rule of Yakub's grafted double. The first thing we have to do is trace the word Yakub. Yakub is a Hebrew word. It's actually pronounced correctly in Hebrew as Yakub. It's spelled in Hebrew language using the English script and what we call a transliteration. You've seen Pops do that 1,000 times in his writings. He'll give you the script, then he give you the word for word transliteration, and then he give you the word for word translation, and then he give you the intent behind the language in this original language that would be different from the intentions of the topic in modern day English. So then he would put a bunch of little things in brackets throughout the sentence of his translation, right? Because these are the things you have to add in order for the Hebrew language to be coherent to an English-speaking person. Where is the name Yakub, biblically speaking? The name Yakub, biblically speaking, is translated into English as Jacob. So what did Jacob do? What is the significance of Jacob? You have to understand Jacob was a fraternal twin to a brother named Esau. Now, the Hebrew Israelites tend to think that the pale-skinned Europeans are Edomites. If you go back to the story of Adam and Eve, Adam's name is also Edom in Hebrew. So now the story is being broke up to confuse the reader. So Adam's twin brother is Jacob, and Adam had 2 sons, so they say, and he had Cain and Abel. They offered up offerings to the elders, or they say they offered up the offerings to the heavens in the book. Abel's offering, Habil, was good, and they accepted it, but he was a farmer of wheats and grains. But Cain was a farmer of cattle and goats. And so he made an offering, but they said the offering was no good. So in a fit of jealousy, Cain slew Abel. Ain't that what the story say? All right, now where do we hear that story in the historical context anywhere else before? Osiris and Set. What is a Set? It's a pair, ain't it? So if Osiris is the first, Set is the second. So Set became jealous of Osiris. Do you remember what he was jealous about? Why was Enlil jealous of Enki? It's the same reason. And who was Enki married to? One of his wives, Mother Ninti, held the title of Inanna. Inanna is a secret word in the Anunnaki pantheon. Inanna is the heir to the earth rights. The name is the Egyptian eye of Horus. And Nana is 9. So he's looking at the 9 when he sees Mother Ninti. Now, Mother Ninti has the good graces of somebody that the Anunnaki refer to in the Hebrew tongue as El, Elion, El. Who do we say that is? That's Anu himself. We already starting with Elijah Muhammad, and we at Enki and Enlil and the Anunnaki. The Sons of Canaan by Malachi York. He mentioned the Canaanite, who was the son of Ham, who is consistent through the Levitical text to be inflicted with something called leprosy. The clean leper is not the same as what they call the dirty leper or the unclean leper. Mm-hmm. So the clean leper, he only have a loss of pigmentation of the skin, and his hair turns a yellowish white. That's what they say in Leviticus when they tell you the description of them with the blonde hair and milky colored skin. But it's something about this group. They got hair texture the same as Ham. Mm. But who is Ham and what land did he settle? Remember, Baba tell us the Ham settled the land that we call today the Ethiopia into the Sudan. And the Sethians, they settled something called North Africa. Those from Abraham came from Ur of the Chaldees. Ur means fire, and Chaldees mean those wicked of the fire. They commonly translate Chaldean into English, if you can find somebody willing to translate it, as demon people. In the city of Ur, remember Baba taught us about Gehenna. Gehenna was a giant hole in the ground that was stoked with coals smothered in sulfur to intensify the burn. Now, if you go to Zechariah Extension, when he's telling you about the Anunnaki disposal of the Lulu Amalu, he said they would walk over the cliff into a flaming ember as if they was in a trance when it was time to dispose of them. This brings us to the question of cremation. Why was they burning them in the trash dump where they put waste? Okay, now the biblical description that tells you about Gehenna say that in Gehenna there was weeping and gnashing of teeth. Enter Dante's Inferno. And Dante's Inferno gives you the modern day understanding and concept of hell. This is a Middle Eastern, all the way into European concept of hell and death. Has nothing to do with the people of the Americas concept, and it has nothing to do with the people of Africa's concept, or the people of India's concept, or the people of China's concept. Now, where does the ziggurat that Pops told us they landed when they came, it was the launch pad. It was the ziggurat in Babel that the Earthlings was building for a launch pad to go check on these motherfuckers on that ship that ain't getting right coming down here with this bullshit. Fuck they motherfucking team. We can do our own shit. So they said the Earthlings is starting to organize, and they building, what is saying there? A scaffold to heaven. Let us now go down, strike them, divide up the languages one from another. Okay, and then when they divide up the languages, they scatter the people in all directions. That's called divide and conquer. If you take one group of people and you teach them a different language and a different culture, you automatically separate them from understanding the other people and the other cultures.